So welcome everybody. It's lovely to have you here. It's lovely to see new faces, familiar faces. I'm Joanna from Siders Travel. We organize tours through Spain and the rest of Europe to help you feel connected with where you're traveling. And of course, to make sure you feel looked after in the best way possible. So we do lots of different types of tours. We do tailored travel for you. And then also hosted tours like the Portuguese Camino that we're running in September. But whatever we do, we like you to feel connected, to enjoy good food, good wine, if you're a wine drinker, and really to learn about the landscapes that you're traveling through and also meeting the people. So I would like to introduce you before we get going to Heather Evans, Santa Monica, from birth, but based in Madrid.
Yes.
Heather does all our marketing, website, newsletter, and much more. Gerard McCulloch.
Hello.
Hello, Gerard. So many people have been in touch with Gerard. Gerard's our tour coordinator, making reservations, looking after people, bookings, and also a lot more. I will need another session to tell you about Gerard's career before joining us. And I would like to introduce you to, Susan Myers is coming in, lovely. I'd like to introduce you to Nancy Mead.
Hello, everybody.
The host. We'll be coming back to Nancy in a few minutes, and also to Jackie Diaz.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Hi.
So Jackie is one of the hosts on the tour. Jackie, it's lovely to have you with us. Maybe you could give just a short introduction as to where you're based and
yes, I'd be delighted to. Well, I'm originally from Perth in Western Australia, and I've been living in Portugal for over 30 years. And I do a tremendous amount of hiking and walking, and I live just south of Porto, just on the opposite side of the Douro River. I was Symington Family's public relations manager for many years, and I'm now retired, but I do heaps of Caminos when I can. I'm actually just currently doing a Nazaré Santiago Camino. And I'll just give you a small introduction. You'll be able to get to know Porto and a little bit about it and learn about the port trade, because I'll be able to introduce you to that when we'll be showing you around doing a tour and tasting at the cellars there in Villanova de Gaia. Okay, so I think, and you've got a lot to look forward to, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you all. Very much so.
Jackie, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Nancy Mead. Nancy and I first met back in 2017. We were organizing a Camino, our first Camino together on the French route, and it was actually a fundraising activity. So Nancy and Edie, who might be joining us later, have worked tirelessly in the last 5 years, raising money to set up an Anglican Center for Pilgrims in Santiago, and they have done an amazing job. We'll bring that up a bit later on, but we need to say Nancy Mead is a veteran pilgrim. She has walked over 6,000 miles of the Camino in Spain, 7,000 miles along the pilgrim routes out, including other countries in Europe. So she is the business, and she's going to be on the co-hosting with Jackie on the Portuguese Camino. Nancy, thank you for joining us. It's lovely to have you with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So we are going to now go through, Nancy's put together pictures from the Portuguese Camino to give you a flavor of what it looks like. We're not looking at day one this, day two that, as you'll have the itinerary accessible. It's also on our website. Perhaps, Heather, you could just post a link to the itinerary in the chat box. So it's probably about 15 minutes just to give you a sense of time, and then we'll have time for questions afterwards. Nancy, could I ask you to share your screen?
Yes, you have to put it with screen share. Bingo. Okay.
Yes.
All right. This is always amazing if this works. And it does. All right. It does. Woo. All right. Well, you can read about me and my favorite moments on the Camino, but let's just get going. Can you,
Oh,
okay. So
Yeah.
can,
Could I ask
Can-
you to go on mute? Is that okay while we're watching the,
Yeah, through France, all the different ways through France.
oh, let me see if I can mute people, sorry. If somebody isn't already on mute, could they go on to mute, please? Let me see.
okay.
Thank you. Take it away.
Perfect. So this is a map of the major routes in Portugal and Spain, but you need to know that there are actually thousands of routes because medieval pilgrims started off where they lived and walked to Santiago. But these are the primary ones. And the one we'll be walking is the Portuguese route. It starts in Lisbon and goes up to Santiago. We're going to start in Porto, and we'll walk the last 100 kilometers from Valença do Minho. Did I pronounce that right, Joanna?
Perfectly.
Yes.
I'm working on that. And we will start in Porto. And Joanna and Edie and I were there last September, and most of these pictures were from that time. And the first thing you notice about Porto is there are two sides, one on one side of the river and the other side, and this amazing bridge that connects the two. And beware, if you want to be up high, don't take the low bridge. Our first night, we'll stay at the Lodge Hotel in Villanova de Gaia. It's a beautiful hotel, and I'll say it over and over, bring your bathing suits. It may be warm enough to swim. Here's the bridge again, and the boats. And if you're looking for nightlife, there's excellent nightlife on both sides. And
That's true.
I'm sure that Jackie knows all the hidden places, so we'll hold her to it.
Yeah, that's
Here's
right.
Jackie. And here, Edie and I, we're on the upper level of the bridge. And we will have a guide to take us around Porto. And it's a beautiful city, wonderful architecture, visually spectacular. And I can't wait to go back and see some more. We'll start at the cathedral, and we'll get what's called the Pilgrim's Passport. It is known as the credential, and you also will get two shells, or excuse me, you'll get one shell to identify you as a pilgrim. And what you'll do is you'll walk along the Camino and you'll stop and get stamps in your passport, and you need 2 a day. And when you get to Santiago, if you've walked the 100 kilometers, you'll get what's called the Compostela. More of that later. The inside of the cathedral, I'm not sure which is more amazing, the Baroque architecture in the gold and the silver, or the amazing blue tiles, but we'll have a tour and you can decide for yourself.
That's right. I should say we have a wonderful tour guide, George, friend of Jackie's, who is going to give us a guided tour of the cathedral. So we'll be meeting at 2:15 at the hotel on the first day, and Jackie will walk us along the riverbank. The hotel's on the other side of the river, so you have the most amazing views across to the city of Porto, and you'll walk up to the cathedral and have a tour of the Say Cathedral.
And then we'll get on the bus and go to Valença do Minho, which is just at the border of Portugal and Spain. And it's a wonderful little town.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little town. It's very walkable. It's the sweetest little town. We'll be staying in the Pousada de Valença, and it looks right out over this bridge, which is where we'll begin our walk. We'll start off and walk across the bridge into Spain and up to the hill town. It's not a very big hill of Tui, and then we'll walk maybe another 5 kilometers. If
We
you
should also say that we escaped narrowly in Valencia because it's a center for linen. And, you know, being into retail therapy, I think we did really well. Nancy didn't buy anything. I bought just one tea towel. So I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a slide of that, but it appears to have jumped away. But anyway, you don't want to walk. It's definitely a town to get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Definitely. This is the cathedral. And again, we'll get a stamp there. And then this is the first day's walking. As you can see, it's very gentle. It's in the woods. It's a little bit on the road. And here we are.
Oh,
back
there
in
we are.
back in
There's our
Porto,
linen.
back in Porto shopping. So there's something for the walkers and the non-walkers. The second day, we walked. I said to Joanna, this is the day of the grape. Walking in September, you see the harvest, you see the grapes. We walk on a Roman road part of the way, and everybody tries to feed you. And Joanna loves these
Yeah.
stone fences, so I'll let her tell you about them.
Well, I don't know a lot about that. I just know that area on the second day, you see so much of this granite. So instead of fences, picket fences, you have these granite fences. I mean, just everything seemed to be made out of granite. We saw that picture of the beautiful granite crosses as well, wedged into the topiary. So it's just, yeah, a feast for the eyes. It really is.
And if you go up and look into the grape vineyard, you see the grapes, and grapes of, believe me, grapes of every color. And the Albarino grape, the wine is wonderful. And we were eating last year, and Joanna said, oh, let's have a bottle of Albarino. And the waiter said, well, which one? And on our menu, there were 34 different kinds of Albarino wine. So the grapes
Yeah.
are good, and the wine is good too.
So Jackie will be assisting you in tasting probably 34 Albarinos along the way. And we do, we have a menu itinerary. So the idea is that you taste as many different things as possible, and also wine. That's, you know, if you like, if you're interested in drinking, tasting wine, you'll certainly have an opportunity to do that. Normally in the evenings rather than on the Camino. It doesn't always help you move along. But hey, I'm not judging anybody.
And taking pictures is irresistible. And as I said, every time you see somebody cutting grapes, they will try to feed you. Next, night 3, we get off the Camino, and our day is a little bit longer on the second full day of walking. And this Parador is about a half an hour away. And we joked about this. Somebody said, what does it look like on the way? I have no idea, because the 3 of us slept all the way. But when you get
Yeah.
to Baionia, it is a stunning town, and the Parador is out on the end of this little island, and it's very beautiful. And it looks over the town, which is a sweet little town. And we especially liked this terrace at the end of the day. And then at night, we go down to a restaurant that's owned by the Parador and have a wonderful tapas dinner. And this is the view walking back from our dinner.
So this is, you know, we do sort of step off our Camino to get there, but we just thought, how could we not be close by and not stay there? So that's why we have a longer bus ride that day to get there, but it really is worth it.
It's definitely worth it. And again, if you're not of the mind to walk, it's also a spa. So, and there's a pool, and you can indulge. So back on the trail, there are lots of these Roman miliarios, and some of them you can actually read the Roman numerals and see the distance on the way up the path. And it's not all serious. We have fun. And this is a picture of me getting a stamp, and don't panic at the size of my backpack. This was in my purest days when we carried everything, and it was a lot heavier. Now all you have to take is a little backpack. This day, I would say, was the day of the flowers. I tell all the people that I walk with, it's not a race. You can race along the path and get to the end and have bragging rights if you want, and drink a beer or 2 or 3. But I would submit to you that you're always going to be able to get a beer somewhere, but probably you're not going to be on this path again to see the flowers. So please slow down and enjoy every ounce, every bit of it. So
Yeah, I should say, I mean, Nancy really did put up with me every single day. I'd say, what's this one, Nancy? She'd say, it's a dahlia, Joanna. What's this one? Yeah, that's also a dahlia. So
yeah, so that's why we have to have the picture here. So,
thanks for indulging me.
and not only the flowers in the woods beautiful, but the doorways are exquisite. And this was amazing. And for the gardeners, this is the biggest verbena I have ever seen. And I'm sorry that it's not on video. Comments are priceless. And that's just for nights 4 and 5. We're in Pontevedra. This is a modern hotel, a little bit different from where we are usually staying. It's a wonderful hotel and it's very convenient to the city and easy to get around. And the city is has good memories for us. And we're working our way there. This is in Arcade, and Edie and I are greasing up. And here you see an Oreo. It's a corn crib on stilts to keep the critters out, and you'll see lots and lots of them along the way. This day we go into the woods, and it's quite shady. It's a little hilly, but not a lot.
Was
And
that the day,
again-
Nancy? There was the guy playing the bagpipes.
Yes,
It was,
yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not technical enough to get that in here yet, but just beyond where Edie and Joanna are walking, we heard this wonderful music, and we got around the corner, and there was a man sitting there playing the bagpipes, and it was a nice treat.
Yeah.
And again, in the shade, see excellent mushrooms. If you on the early side, the spider webs are incredible, and I just love this tree. And lunches every day are on your own, and people worry that they won't get enough to eat, or they won't be able to figure out how to eat, or they won't know what to eat. And all I can tell you is every time we take a tour, I've walked between 100 miles and no exception. We usually start off our morning after about 2 hours with a little pastry and some coffee, and then the men
Nancy,
up on the left, it's called a bocadillo. Bocadillo, that's one of the best. Ham and cheese, tomato, tuna, egg, and we have been known to stop and have a beer to get us along the last few days, and this day was particularly hot. There are many street markets, and a lot of times it's a real treat to get some bread and some cheese and make yourself a little picnic. And if you can wait to get to the food, we just ate as we went. Back in Ponferrada, there's a Pilgrim church, and Pontevedra. What did I say? Anyway, Joanna will correct you.
Sorry.
Correct your Spanish. Mine is appalling. Anyway, Pontevedra is this is a famous Pilgrim church, and it has this wonderful tower inside. And again, back to food. Edie and I have been here 2 or 3 times, and we've become friends with this man who has a little restaurant. And we were with another group, and we were charged with finding a place for dinner, and we found this for lunch, and we went there for dinner, and it was our day off. And then we went back the next day for lunch, and the next day for dinner. So if you have free time in Pontevedra, this is a good place to go. This is just a sampling of some of the things that we ate on our last trip. We eat, as Joanna says, you get lots of opportunities to try different food. And if you're a vegetarian, fear not, there's plenty of food. If you don't like seafood, fear not, there's plenty of food. All of it is delicious, and they will give you 3 forks if you want to share a dessert. Our 6th night, we stay in this amazing place. It's the hotel itself is spectacular, but the grounds are beyond beautiful. There are gardens on different levels, and on the right, you can't really see it very well, but there's a waterfall from the upper level that goes down to a swimming pool that's tiled with black tile, and there's a big inflatable swan waiting for you if you take the plunge. It's a beautiful place to stay.
Yeah, really stunning.
We're always in the grapes, but it's also lots of farm area, and it's a great, we had good fun practicing our Spanish, talking to the farmers, and they had great fun practicing their English, talking to the walkers. So just a little, again, an Oreo, and we met the critters. And this is just a sample of all the, I mean,
Yeah.
there's
That picture actually of the chestnuts, that was a guy walking along who just had been collecting them and walking back
Yep,
home to
yep,
cook them
yep.
up. It's just lovely, just that whole sense of people living in the countryside and living
Yeah.
from the countryside. Really,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And we get to Padrón, and Padrón is famous for its peppers. They are delicious, and they are everywhere in the fall. And there's a saying, what is it? 9 are out of 10. 1 is hot and 9 are not. I'm massacring that, but you get the idea.
No, that's exactly it.
But they are cooked in olive oil with salt, and I think they should be eaten at every meal.
Yeah.
Chestnuts, again, you can get chestnuts in the market. You can have them roasted, and they're very nice walking along eating chestnuts. Here we are in Padrón at the Sunday market, and I think that we will be at the market, one of the markets.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, back thinking of your picnic, it was hard for us to resist any of these things. And I don't have a picture of it, but if you want to go shopping, there's also every different kind of clothing, and Edie and I always get our travel earrings at the market because they're €1 a pair, and you can afford to lose them.
Gerard's glazing over again, Nancy.
Yes. Nights 7 and 8, we're at the Pazo de Strove in Padrón, and it's a wonderful inn, has a swimming pool, and you'll sleep well there and eat well there. And now we're coming down the home stretch into Santiago, and this is my challenge. I will give any one or ones a prize if they find this on the Camino. And I'll just tell you this, there are lots of these. It's on the left-hand side of the trail. And when you see it, if you see it, you'll be amazed. The closer you get to Santiago, the more crowded it becomes. It's not uncommon for bicycles. Just be aware when they're behind you. And this time we saw a number of people on horseback. Just before you get into the city, this is the only time on this path that I remember that you have a choice. You can either go left or right. You can't lose. You're still going to get to Santiago. Here's a view from the outskirts of the city with the 3 towers. And here we are. We have arrived. This was the 3 of us last September. And I tease Joanna and Edie and say that if you're a certain age, you stand up. And if you're a certain age, you lie down and enjoy the view. So you get to choose when we get there. It will be fairly crowded. The prediction this year for walkers is to break last year's record. Last year, 440,000 people walked, and this year, the Pilgrim office is predicting that it will be over 550,000. So this is a view of people waiting to get into church. The last 2 nights we're on our trip, we'll stay at the Parador, the Reyes Católicos, which was originally a pilgrim hospital built by Ferdinand and Isabella, and it is one of the most famous paradors, and you will see why. If we will go to church to the Pilgrim's Mass, you can see it's crowded, and if we're lucky, the Butafumeiro will swing. This is a 250-pound, 4-foot-high incense pot that swings literally from roof to roof, and it's pulled by 6 men who pull the string, and it flies around and sparks come out. It's very dramatic. We'll be there 2 days, and I told you that if you got your stamps every day you walked 100 kilometers, you would get what's called the Compostela, and it's a certificate in Latin that attests that you have walked and are a bona fide pilgrim. And I have a collection of these, and I love them because they translate your name into Latin. And I have been Joannum, Anum, Nonum. I even have one that says Barbara. So it's very serious, but at the same time, it's good fun. And lest you think that we're out of the flowers, this is going up into the Alameda Park, and we will go there for a Eucharist in Santa Susana's church. This is a beautiful old church mentioned in the Codex Callistinus, and it was unused, and the Archdiocese is allowing us and the Russian Orthodox and the Ukrainian Orthodox to share this. And the picture on the right, if you look in the center, the smiling woman with the white stole, that's Mother Anna Noon, and she is our pilgrim missioner, and she has been there for a year. And in this picture, she's welcoming 2 groups of kids, one from Palm Beach, I think, and the other from South Carolina. But she will welcome us, and another group is coming on a different path, and we'll have Eucharist together with them. And Mac and Dee and Leo will know at least Agatha Nolan and maybe a couple other people. So it'll be a nice reunion for us. And Joanna said that we were working on opening a pilgrim center for pilgrims, and we have made progress on that. And without saying too much more, we're negotiating for a small hotel, buy a small hotel on this street. And I hope, this is inside, this is the courtyard. I hope to be able to tell you, actually, I hope by the time we get there in the fall, we'll be able to go and see it. And I'm gonna leave you with one picture of the cathedral, and one last note. This woman is named Celeste Mancinelli, and she probably is one of the more unlikely people to walk the Camino that you would ever meet. And she is doing the Camino her way, and I say that it's your Camino and you should do it however is good for you. And just an aside, on the 16th of May, Celeste is an actress, and she has written a one-woman play called Crying on the Camino. And right now she's doing it for the American Pilgrims annual meeting in Lake Tahoe, but she's going to be in Madrid on the 16th, and she'll do this performance at the cathedral there. And if you're in Madrid, don't miss it. It's very moving. It's very funny. And Celeste getting to Santiago, as she would tell you, was a miracle. So on that note, that's just a little overview of what you'll see, what we'll be doing. And now I'm going to stop sharing and say, ask me anything, ask Jackie anything, ask Joanna anything. We've
Thank
talked
you,
enough.
Nancy.
It's your
Thank
turn.
you.
So
Nancy, I did actually, before we get going, I did have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. One
Yes.
was, how did you get started walking on the Camino?
I read an article in Gourmet Magazine, which is an American cooking magazine, in 1996. 3 food men, editors, were having a walk after a boozy lunch, and they came across an arrow and went into a church, and the priest said, "Do you want me to stamp your passport? Are you on the Camino?" And they said, "What?" And they wrote this wonderful article. They ended up walking the Camino, and they said it had beautiful scenery, good wine, good cheese, and excellent seafood. And I thought, well, that's a good start. And only after reading about it did I discover that it was a medieval pilgrimage route. And so I took the plunge when I was turning 50. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to walk the Portuguese route with a woman that I met in the year 2000. And she and I will walk our 20th walk together.
Wow.
And she's 80 today. So anybody can walk the Camino. And
That's the secret. Yeah.
yes, it's one step at a time. So
Yeah. And I suppose, obviously we hear 6,000 miles, 7,000 miles. If you are not a walker at all, is the Camino for you?
yes, definitely. We have, there's plenty to do. There's plenty to see. On our tours, we have one person on our tours who never misses a tour, and I don't think has walked more than a quarter of a mile ever. And she has the best time. She's the life of the party. She rides on the bus. When we get to whatever stop, she cheers us on, and we set off walking, and she jumps back on the bus, and she knows where all the good shops are, and and she reads her books and and my husband is not a walker, and he went on the Holy Week tour with us last year, and he walked the first day and the last day and all the days in the middle. We could find him under a tree
That's
with a
right.
book.
That's right. I think I helped
Occasionally we
him.
caught him
Yeah.
asleep, but I think he would tell you that he had a great time too. So
Yeah.
there's plenty to do. So
Yeah.
don't be scared off by that. So
And actually, Nancy was referring to the Holy Week tour. This is a different walk along the Camino, the Via de la Plata. And we start during, on Maundy Thursday in Seville. And we do little parts of the Camino along the way, along the Via de la Plata. So we're seeing the different processions over the Easter weekend, really. Well, from Maundy Thursday up until the Sunday, Easter Sunday, and then finishing in Santiago. So that's another memorable one, but more about that another time. Does anybody have any questions? And if not, if you'd like to, you can just get in touch with us separately. And as Nancy said, we will have the structure of this Camino. There will be Nancy and Edie walking along the Camino for people who want to walk the whole thing. And Jackie will be looking after people who just want to have a little, a walk, maybe a few miles or whatever they want to do. So you will be looked after depending on how you like to walk.
I see hands.
Yes, Vicky Hammond.
Yes. So I don't know whose hand was first. So Vicky,
Maybe stop.
Hi, I have just a quick question for you. So I have a flight that's taking me back to the United States on the final day, I think, on October the 3rd.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, are there activities planned for that day, or is it more just we have breakfast and we all say goodbye?
Yeah, it's just saying goodbye. So you'll be up, and many people take a very early flight that day to go back. And the key thing is, if you are flying from Santiago and changing in Madrid, most people are, it's important that your ticket starts in Santiago. So your luggage is transferred in Madrid and you don't have to come out of security and go back in. So that's very important. Thank you for raising that. Dee and Leo?
Okay, we have several questions.
Oh, good.
I think one of these you already answered. Let's say, okay, so do you recommend hiking boots or trail runners or some other variation thereof?
Whatever is comfortable for you. I mean, and Jackie, I don't know how you feel about that. In the winter, or in the early spring or late fall, when there's a fair amount of rain, I go with boots because there's mud and it's slippery. But lately, trail runners.
Having a drought.
Yes, trail runners.
Yeah, trail runners, and whatever is good. And I always tell people, your feet swell. So if you're buying a new pair of boots, I always buy them one full size. I wear a 7.5 and I buy an 8.5 boot. Your feet swell, and when you go downhill, your toes bang against. And if you got blisters and had miserable feet, your boots may have been too small. So anyway,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've taken boots and then always packed trainers, trail runners, I think you call them, anyway. So you have that choice and you can go between the two. And we also do have a pack list on the webpage. Maybe Heather, if you could just post that link.
But my pal Barbara crossed the Alps on the Via Francigena in red Crocs. So
Oh my.
red Crocs. And her feet were always a problem, and finally dawned on her that her boots and her sneakers were too short, and more than one walk we cut the ends off of her boots. We took the razor blade to them and just hacked them up. And so yeah, so it doesn't matter what you wear, Dee, as long as they're comfortable. And I mean,
Because obviously there's multiple surfaces. There's roads and rocky parts and streets, and so something that would work well for all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trail runners are good because they got a nice grippy bottom. But
Okay, so you had talked about the last day for a minute. There's 2 flights that leave from Santiago. One leaves really early in the morning and the other one leaves later at night. At least that's what I found. Is there any thought to setting up a tour possibly to go to Finisterre?
We could absolutely do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Takes out to the ends of the earth.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we missed it last time because we just didn't think about it ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we want to go, you know,
There-
so.
There are buses that go out there, but we've found that if there were, I mean, one time 3 of us hired a car and he drove us out and dropped us off so we could walk down the beach, and we wandered around there, and then so
We can certainly see who's interested and
Yeah.
put something together. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and then I have a travel question. Is it better to fly directly into Porto or to go to Lisbon and take the train to Porto?
Jackie?
I would suggest directly to Porto, wouldn't you, Joanna? I
Yeah.
would suggest, yes, definitely.
Definitely. Unless you
Okay.
want to go early and experience Lisbon, good opportunity.
Yeah, well, of course, yes.
But also to arrive early in Porto, you know, and spend some time there is, I would highly
Right, we're already
recommend it.
coming in a day early just because we
Right,
don't.
right.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are too.
You know, I think we've all said, we're just going to do, there's always do, you know.
Yes.
Rather
yeah.
than waiting till the last minute going, oh, your plane's delayed, or.
Yes, exactly. Very
And I-
prudent. And You know, it's a lovely, a really beautiful hotel. The views are spectacular. I probably, if I could, I'd arrive a week early, but that's just, I'm not suggesting you do the
Stay
same.
there.
You would stay there, okay. And then the last thing that we had is that there was a note that came out that if you were going to be over 70 at the trip,
That's right.
a health certificate from your physician,
Yeah,
standard letter, you're in good shape, and I give you.
really, yeah, just to say that you're fit enough to take part in the itinerary, and also bearing in mind that there is a support bus. If so, it's not that you're fit enough to walk the whole Camino, but you're fit enough to walk. Really, to walk a few miles, I would say. I mean, for what you plan to do, because
Right.
we have the bus.
Right. Okay. I
Yeah,
think that's all of our questions, right?
Yep.
I mean,
lovely, thank you.
our walk, our Easter trip last year, Joanna, I think I'm right on this. I'm
Yeah.
73 and I was the youngest person. And our group was from 73 to 84. And
Wow.
Yeah,
we were troopers. We did our, well, I don't know if we did 100 kilometers, but we walked every day, at least 5 or 6
Yeah.
miles.
yes, yeah, we did a portion of it, and it was absolutely, it's your Camino.
Yep.
That's the thing.
I'd already asked Nancy this, but for the benefit of other people who might have the same question, when those days when we're walking, 10, 11, and 12 kilometers, that's very much broken up by stops for food and drink along the way. Then you're walking a couple hours, then you stop for a snack, then you walk
Yep,
for a
yep,
couple
yeah,
hours. Because
yep.
our standard is we go out for an hour and a half, and we can do 4 miles. Just that's what we do daily,
Yeah,
So
Well,
eat
know-
and drink and walk sounds good to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I remember when I was living in the city, somebody said to me, oh, how do you do this? And I said, well, okay, could you get up and go take a walk for an hour and a half or so, stop and have coffee, enjoy yourself for a while, and then walk for another hour and a half, maybe 2, have a nice lunch, take your shoes off, lounge around for a while, and then walk another hour and a half. I said, oh yeah, I could do that. Well, that's what you're doing. So,
Okay.
and also, everybody will get a book, a
that's
guidebook,
right.
and the guidebook is very good because it has the altitude, so you can know in advance if there's an up or down or a flat patch or and there are the bus stops. So say, for example, you wanted to avoid going up the hill. Well, okay, you stop before, avoid the hill part, and then pick up after, the bus will stop a couple of times. So you can finesse it. And if you wake up and don't feel like walking, it's a no shame Camino. So
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and naturally, there's going to always be somebody at the back and always somebody at the front and someone in the
He
middle.
will always be at the front, or I don't know about Jackie, but I am a notoriously slow walker, and anybody who likes to be slow and take tons of pictures, stay with me.
Yeah,
we
or just
always get
drive her
there.
crazy with
We
flower
always get
questions.
there. We always get there. We're never going to be first, and if we are, I'm
From the
not
universe.
sure why that would be. But no, so don't be afraid, and it's totally doable for everybody.
Absolutely.
So
Any
Yeah.
other questions before we wrap up? No? Well, it's been lovely to have you all here. Thank you for coming. We still have some places left. There are 13 people signed up so far, and we do have room for more. But we do need to know pretty soon if you're thinking about coming. Holly, dígame, as we say in Spanish. I'm just going to take you off mute 1 second. Where are you? Holly Smith. Asked to unmute. Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
you're on mute, Holly.
Sorry. Could you unmute, please, Holly? I think I muted you by mistake. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah?
I think she's up.
I think she was just waving goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right before I could tell her that my aunt's name is Holly Smith.
Holly Smith. Yeah.
I wanted
It's
to tell her that.
uncanny. She needs to come on the Camino. Yeah. So we have a recording of this, as you know, and we can send it out to anyone who arrived a little bit later. And well, we'll send it out to everybody. And then if there are people you'd like to share it with, please do.
And again, any questions, like you
Thank
can
you.
ask me anything, anytime.
Yeah.
Call me up, email me. Happy to talk. So
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks so much for sharing all the pictures with us. Thank you all so much for coming. It's been really lovely to see you all. Really has. And for those who are coming, Jared and I will be with a different group, but we will see you in Santiago. Woo! Very excited. Look forward to it. Take care, everybody.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 See you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.